I had a little bit of an accident a while ago. I never really talked about it because I was so angry. My body is in like, you know, hundreds of pieces. Look at this. There's a hole through the freaking roof over here. What am I gonna do? This is not a moon roof. It's not a sun roof. It's a hole. What's up, guys? Welcome back. This is part 2 of my King Motors Baja repair. This is what happened. You guys see the spring right here? Yeah, the spring is busted. Chasing me, get out of my way. After beating a whole bunch of electrics with this Baja, I had a broken clutch spring. I showed you guys the clutch spring was broken. I took it out, and now I have ordered myself a new clutch from Amazon, 12 bucks. Doesn't really matter, 7K clutch spring, I'm good with 7K. I don't care about the rest. And I also asked you guys a couple questions in terms of maintenance and why my gear plate right here had so many damn scoring marks on it from the spur gear. The spur gear is basically okay. It has a little bit of kind of scoring marks here along the outside of it. But then I realized that when I was removing the screws from the gear plate, now of course I did a lot of this off camera because I didn't even know if I was going to make a video on this, to be honest with you. One of the screws was backed out. So it is my opinion that when the spur gear was spinning right here on the gear plate, one of the screws constantly was making contact. It wasn't enough to really damage anything permanently. So at this point, I can reuse this gear plate because the only other one I was able to find on Roven, currently there's like a waiting list. These things are sold out. There is an HD gear plate available for about 25 bucks. It's a little bit better than this. I might eventually go with that. The only problem with this is, other than of course this is purely cosmetic here in the front, one of the holes where I had to Dremel out one of the screws, there is a crack right here in the aluminum on the outside of this piece. But it really shouldn't matter. I'm just going to put this back together. Hope the clutch is fine. This is just really kind of a side issue. The other issue I had was this screw that broke off while I was trying to remove it from the clutch hub itself. Now I could go and replace this entire piece here, you know, if I want to extract that screw. But I'll be honest with you, chances are I'll run into the same issues with the screws holding this in place, because chances are the previous owner used way too much red Loctite, and like the materials, they're just so well bonded now. I have a chance of basically zero of removing that screw fully. But don't you worry, the Nitro Gang shirt is on for a reason. This may be a gas Baja, but the rules of the Nitro Gang always apply no matter what. The goal was to remove or somehow reuse this hole. I need to somehow make sure that this piece is still usable without removing it and without damaging the threads, or maybe just insert another bolt in there. So let's see what I had to do. Oh yeah, we're through, baby. The drill is through. At this point, there's a little bit of this bolt sticking out here in the back. I don't really want it to interact with my throttle and brake linkage here. So I'm gonna attempt to just use a cutoff wheel, and hopefully, once again, nothing bad happens, you know? Let's see if that was enough. I had to be very careful here because I am right next to the fuel tank. Hopefully the bolt there will just break off there. You're not going to win this one, bolt. I just want you to know this. You're not going to win. There it is, guys. We got this bad boy. Look at that. Oh, it wants to go back. You're not going back in there, bro. Come on. What are you talking about? We cut out the remaining threads here. Nothing is sticking out in the back. Not the most ideal solution, but I can get another bolt through it. So it really is not that big of a deal. I will be getting this one in there. It's basically just as thick. I'm going to have to cut this groove a little bit bigger, but it will fit and it will still be centered. At this point, part of the old bolt is still here in the clutch housing. It really doesn't matter. I couldn't take it out. I just drilled through it, and right now we're going to attempt to just create some new threads, you know, with this new screw. Alright, seems to be going in just fine. You know, basically this goes in. I got really nothing to worry about here. It's very strong. Just needed to go in a couple more turns. You know, I don't really know how deep I can cut it out, you know, with another larger drill bit. So this is why I'm doing this, guys, by the way. It's solid. This thing is like, yeah, there's no way to get rid of this screw that was in there. This is probably like the most crude but most reliable way that I've thought of at this point. You see what's going on? By slowly putting the screw in, I'm creating new threads. There's really no point in drilling out what was there, you know, risking ruining the clutch housing. The reason I didn't want to remove the clutch housing to begin with for this repair is because chances are there's crazy thread lock on the rest of the bolts, and I'll actually run into probably the same exact situation with bolts that I cannot even get access to. So I'm just gonna do this a couple times. It'll eventually make its way through, you know, and it'll be good. I'm about ready to start assembling stuff back, but for now I gotta clean all these metal shavings. I'm gonna hit it with a little bit of compressed air as well. You really want this thing to be as clean as possible, so we're just gonna vacuum it out for now. Yeah, guys, if you never vacuumed your Baja, you haven't really lived, you know? Oh, a lot of dust coming out of there. Just for good measure, I'm gonna wipe it down a little bit, actually. I like to have my parts looking clean when I assemble them, you know? Compressed air was not enough for me, guys. It was not enough. I like when this thing is clean. Here's the new clutch. It's like the cheapest t-maxx brand. You know, 7K RPM, fits any Robin, King Motors, Baja, doesn't really matter. They're all the same. The only variable you really have with clutches is the spring. This is a 7,000 clutch spring, so it engages when the engine is at 7,000 RPM. Clearly, it will fly open. A lot of people wind up getting red springs. Those are 8K. Now, very, very important, make sure you put this on correctly. I know they look symmetrical on this side, and they basically are. The only difference is this side has absolutely no writing on it, and the spring is facing this direction. You guys see the ends of the spring are facing? The way this should go on is the ends of the springs should be facing the motor inside of that direction. Of course, you also have these arrows right here saying left. Now, what that means is if you use the pull start, notice the way this is going to spin. Yep, it spins counterclockwise, which is left. That is exactly how you want it to be. Make sure you don't put your clutch on this way. I've assembled the clutch. I put all of the proper hardware on it. I have some red thread lock here on each bolt. This is some Team Durango thread lock. very, very important that you guys put on high temperature thread lock on the screws. I've got the clutch in, I just gotta fasten these bolts here. Now notice these are quite different than these Allen bolts that were on here previously. No big deal, it's still the same thing. I could easily just use a socket, you know, to get this in there. Of course, getting one that fits would be exactly what you want. So now I gotta find myself a proper socket set. The only thing I know I am missing is the cylinder lock stop. I think the cylinder piston locking tool it's called, something like that. I'm gonna have to figure out a way on how to get this clutch not to move while I'm trying to screw this in. And yeah, now I need to figure out how to get this thing not to move. Anyways, I'll do it, it'll be fine, don't you worry. I'm done with the clutch itself, it seems to be okay. Now it's time to install the clutch bell and the clutch bell brace. I've cleaned it up obviously, so you're not gonna see much dirt on this. I must say guys, I'm a little bit proud of myself. I did a pretty good job here. Absolutely no issues with this top bolt at all. It's as it should be. The clutch spins freely. This is a metal clutch brace, so I should be good. I'm so happy that I'm listening to one of my favorite bands right here, No Effects. Separation of church and state, baby. That's right. Oh, that's my Pandora stations, both for my Valentine, Trivium, Limp Bizkit, that's right. Oh, Britney Spears, not supposed to see that. That was a secret. Or did I just put that in there as a joke? Of course it's a joke. The Nitro Gang doesn't listen to Britney Spears. Come on. The gear plate is almost back in. Now, some of you guys said my lay shaft was bent here. Now, let me show you guys. The lay shaft is actually pretty adequate. It's straight. I don't think it could be any straighter than this. And also, some of you said I'm missing a washer that's supposed to be behind the spur gear. Well, I have the washer right here. Rather a spacer, right? I guess it's a huge spacer. It's not really a washer. So everything is here. The only problem I see is a break in aluminum right here on the right side of the gear plate. For now, I think it'll be okay. There does not seem to be any binding with the clutch bell or the pinion gear. I'm just going to assemble it back and hope for the best. Eventually, I more than likely will be ordering the HD upgraded one. The last step is done. The spur gear is back in. I could spin it freely. Does not seem to be binding much at all. I'm not sure, but maybe there should be another spacer there. I mean, look, I have a little bit of space right here on the tip of the lay shaft there. It is moving a little bit, so maybe when it's under a lot of, you know, torque, it is kind of moving this way and hitting this. It is highly possible. I don't know about this, guys, but otherwise, you know, in plain sight, it looks to be adequate. If anybody thinks anything is wrong with the way I mounted this, you know, in terms of the washers, put in the comments. I'll be more than happy to take this all apart again and make sure that it goes in the right way. I'm finally done. Let me show you what time it is right now. It is 11:41 p.m. right now, basically midnight. I don't want you to think that this process takes that long. In reality, a lot of the recording, the lighting, the setup, where I'm sitting, you know, the way I'm looking at the camera, that takes time. That is just reality. This stuff is actually kind of fun. Sometimes I review my own videos to see if I made mistakes. And just like this time I asked, well, could I reuse this gear plate? Many of you said, yes, you can, but check, you know, for wobble, this and that. I like that. I like that kind of interaction. That's why if you've noticed, I make sure to respond to at least 80% of the comments that I get. Lately, I've been a little overwhelmed with the comments, but keep them coming. I'm going to keep responding, and if I don't respond, you're going to get a heart no matter what. Before I let you go, I just want to give you a little bit of bad news here. You may have noticed an RC below my bench press. Well, this is the body to that RC. This is the famous Redcat Rally Rampage. And I know I haven't featured this much on my channel lately. Well, maybe that's because it's missing the whole freaking front end over here. I had a little bit of an accident a while ago. I never really talked about it because I was so angry. My body is in, like, you know, hundreds of pieces. Look at this. There's a hole through the freaking roof over here. What am I going to do? This is not a moonroof. It's not a sunroof. It's a hole. I got it all on video. Don't you worry. I've more or less just been mad at myself for allowing that accident to happen. More on that later. If you want to see it, you know, I'll collect my tears in a jar, you know, put them whatever, and I'll edit that video. Thanks so much for watching. I'm going to get this thing back together off camera. The main vitals here are good to go. And then soon, I'm going to be taking this back to the RC Oval track to kill some more electrics. See you later.